Pokémon, a franchise loved by people all around the world, whether it be the digital games, the anime, or the TCG, and even the merch. One memory, however, most of us can relate to is staying up late at night playing either on your Game Boy or the DS Lite and having to hide it underneath your pillow and pretending to sleep when your mom comes bursting in to make sure you are asleep and not playing your precious Pokemon. Now, I've played Pokemon since I was a little boy, all the way starting from Gen 1. For my birthday though, when I was just 6 years old, my parents had gotten me a DS along with a copy of Pokemon Pearl. And at this point in my life, I decided, oh yeah, this is peak. Playing it for the first time on the new system, the world was just so detailed compared to previous titles and felt vibrant along with the music behind it. It just sort of clicked, like the song of Twin Leaf Town. Or the intensity of Spear Pillar when reaching the top of Mount Coronet. Although I did end up buying Shining Pearl not long ago, despite the huge hate for it, I did it so I can relive my childhood. Though I know I could emulate the original, but Nintendo is crashing down hard on emulator sites recently. Besides the fact, I've enjoyed it so far. I haven't touched it much because of life and also playing other games as well, but it still feels great to play the game. Story-wise, I really enjoyed what was put in front of me as a kid. I thought Team Galactic was the coolest villain group at the time. I mean, Cyrus's goal was to rebuild the galaxy the way he wanted in his own image while using some of Sinnoh's legendary Pokemon, which are said to have created the entire universe. A couple years later, when I eventually got Pokemon Platinum, this man somehow got even worse, because this dude literally summoned Satan himself. Compared to other Pokemon villains, I mean, as a kid, that's pretty evil. This is where, in my opinion, Gen 4 went from peak to god tier. And not only was it god tier, but you can literally get God himself, Arceus. Though it was an event which I sadly never got. Anyways, the main storyline had been enhanced greatly, giving more backstory to Cyrus with his plans and why he's doing all of this, with, again, literally summoning Satan to help him change the galaxy. Now, the Distortion world was probably one of the most trippiest things I've seen in a Pokemon game, and in a way it sort of pioneered some cool graphic stuff in Pokemon Black and White, at least in my opinion. Pokemon Gen 4 was also the first to introduce an actual snow area, which was pretty neat, but it wasn't shown until later in the game. This generation was also packed with legendaries. There are a total of 18 legendaries that you can obtain in this generation, which as a kid, that was astounding to me. Granted, I didn't know about some of the events, so I mean, I wasn't able to get all of them, but with the power of cheating, I got my way. Another point I'd like to bring up about this generation is the Elite Four. Each Elite Four member was brutal in their own way. It was a challenge for all of us kids at the time. But then came the champion, Cynthia. Now look, there's a lot of questionable art of her out there, which, oh boy. Damn! Besides that side note, Cynthia was a menace to society, as she gave many children around that time Vietnam flashbacks, mainly from her Garchomp and Lucario alone, basically showing us who runs the town around here. It is nice seeing Cynthia in other main game series like Black and White, and how she gave everyone PTSD as you walked through that door. Other characters in this generation were also pretty interesting as well, such as Riley, Looker, the Team Galactic leaders, and even the Grunts, and many other cool characters in the game both design-wise and dialogue-wise. All in all, this is the reason why I personally think Gen 4 is god tier, at least by my standards. For most other people, Pokemon peaked for them on Black and White, but I'm sticking with what I'm saying. After Gen 5, everything else just kind of feels like mush. I mean, Gen 6 was okay, but pretty much everything else after that was just kind of eh. I mean, I still buy the new Pokemon games because, I mean, I'm a sucker for them. Now, as far as the Pokemon themselves, this brought over 100 new Pokemon to this generation, and as far as starters go, they're all really good starters, but my first choice was Turtwig. He's a happy little guy, which eventually turns into a brick house of a Pokemon. I mean, have you seen what he looks like? This dude literally has a tree on him. I mean, it's like, bruh. But as far as all the other Pokemon go, I really enjoyed this generation, as they added some really cool looking Pokemon and some also questionable looking ones that raised some dirty thoughts in people's head. But regardless, the designs of this generation were very nice, and I enjoyed all the new Pokemon in this game. So without being said, again, I honestly think Gen 4 is a god tier Pokemon game, at least by my standards. And getting to basically replay it in a newer form brings back all those memories from the past and reliving my childhood.